And Bonds hits one high. It's a deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. We got a special episode, the first of many this Major League Baseball season. We're going to keep this rolling. I'm joined with Aaron Kidd once again. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jordan. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I'm appreciated that you're here. We're going to be doing this throughout Major League Baseball season, so I'm stoked for it. Once again, this is a Major League Baseball preview and pick show. If you guys tuned in with me and Aaron before, we were doing a college basketball tournament. We had a nice college run. Shout out to Aaron hitting that UConn future. He also hit UConn minus 110 when we did the Final Four preview, so shout out to that. Unfortunately, my San Diego Aztecs couldn't get it done. Wow. But we had a good run, man. We had a good run with the Aztecs through the tourney, dude, so it was a profitable tournament, and that's all I can hope for. But and then we had a very profitable Masters, man. We almost hit Brooke Koepka plus 9,900. Whew, that was nice. But we hedged the last day, so we made some profit. Anyways, here to talk baseball. So before we kick off, we're gonna do a handful of games. We got 4 games we picked out. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna preview them, handicap them, break them down. Before we get to that, though, Aaron, I do want to kind of get your thoughts on the season so far. I don't know how closely you paid attention last year, but one thing Irvin and Ben and I talked about consistently last year, the first 3 months, was just how crazy it was that favorites were just they were hitting at a 70% rate last year in the first 2 months of the season. It was just man, me as an underdog bettor, I always try to find value in the underdogs first before anything else. And then, so for me, it's when underdogs are hitting 36% or less, it's oh, dude, this is rough, bro. But what's your thoughts on the season so far? Because I felt like there was way more parity this season. So I am surprised that favorites are hitting at almost 77% rate this year.
Yeah, Jordan, to your point, man, I think favorites are still hitting at over 60% clip this year. And what I've kind of taken away from the first 3 weeks of baseball this year is I'm not going to be stubborn and taking things at face value. And what I mean by that is if a team is very good, that team is very good. That's okay. And now, will there be spots to bet against them and things like that? Absolutely. But at some point, we have to take the team that is hot and its face value. Point of going against that, the Blue Jays tonight, I'm kicking myself because all day I said I wanted to go against the go against the Tampa Bay Rays, with the Blue Jays, and I kicked myself all day around about it, and I didn't do it. And now, I look like an idiot. So, but once again, Tampa Bay Rays are playing hot, their lights out, and sometimes you got to pick your spots against them. But it's okay to take things at face value. I'm kind of contrarian better too. I don't like just going against the green to say, hey, we went against the green. But if I find a spot where I think we can jump in with the underdog, absolutely. But right now, I'm just taking things with face value. I took what I felt were square bets tonight. I took the Colorado Rockies and Mariners over 9 at plus money.
6 rounds right now.
That's trending pretty well.
Yeah.
It felt square, but hey, I took it for what it is. And then I also took the Mets minus 1.5. And at any other day, I would say, hey, let's kind of feel like probably shouldn't be doing that. But I had to take it for face value, and that's what I did. So I just think right now you got to take it for face value. I think once we get into the dog days, it'll definitely be some time to jump in there on some underdogs at a more higher clip.
Yeah, no, you're right. And like last year, I felt like the Orioles were like the only underdog that like consistently won. I mean, obviously they won over 80 games, so but they were like an underdog majority of the time throughout the year. This year we're kind of seeing that with the Pirates. The Pirates are that team where they're above 500 and they're an underdog basically every game. So that's a team that I'm kind of looking at as like last year's Orioles. Although without O'Neal Cruz, I'm not sure how long they can sustain it. So just kind of things to look for. I know trends are, you can. There's a lot to do with a lot of trends, and like you could poke holes in all of them and stuff like that. But it's kind of things to look at because I think you're right. Like, oftentimes I hear people when we talk baseball, it's like, well, for example, Noah Syndergaard tonight. Kind of why I took the Cubs. I like Justin Steele. He's a great pitcher. And Noah Syndergaard should not be a minus 170 favorite. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And so, in my opinion, as good as the Dodgers are, it's like, well, I think there's good value on the Cubs there because the implied odds are telling me, the Dodgers should win this game over 50% of the time. And I just don't think that's the case. It's kind of undervaluing the Cubs at this point, right? So I think there's ways of looking at baseball, but with what you said, it's like a good team's a good team, and like you just can't sit there and be like, oh, they're minus 200, so it's not a good play because that could be a good play depending on the implied odds. Speaking to your Rays point though, the offensive regression is definitely coming. It's impossible to keep up a plus 167 WRC plus. You know what I mean? And this is a team that was barely over 100 WRC plus last year. So the offensive regression definitely coming, and we kind of seen it today. First team they played over 500 and they lose a game. So they're now 0-1 against teams over 500, 13-0 against teams under 500. I am 0-3 betting against the Rays. So, to your point, I was like not even interested in betting against them today. I don't even care. I was like, I'm not doing it today, dude. I'm not doing it today. Tired of them beating my ass, especially after the Red Sox imploded yesterday, dude. What the WTF? But anyways,
They just got outmanaged and outcoached, man. I mean, that fifth inning, they just got outcoached.
yeah,
Kluber should have got pulled after the double, and we're probably sitting here talking about how they may have beat the Blue Jays tonight because they lost to the Red Sox yesterday. I think it's a different game.
true, very very true. To that point too, the Blue Jays are a team that I'm very high on. I have a future on them to win the World Series at plus 1400, so it's a good look for me. I also took them to win
Yeah,
the most
actually,
games in May.
I have a ticket on the Blue Jays to win it as well at 14 to win the World Series. Also have them to win the AL and also to win the AL East too. So yeah, I'm right there with the Blue Jays. I was high on them into the season, and I'm still very high on them.
Nice. I like that we're aligned there, man. All right, let's hop into some games tomorrow, though. That's why we're here. First game we're going to talk about is the Twins and Yankees. Yankees coming off 2 straight losses. And the Twins are coming off 3 straight wins here. Two against New York. And tonight was kind of, Clay Holmes gets in the 8th inning, and Carlos Correa hits a double. Ends up pushing in 2 runs. Minnesota Twins win 4-3. For tomorrow's game, this is at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:05 a.m. West, Pacific Standard Time. We got Tyler Mahle versus Domingo Germán. Germán's 0-1 on the season with a 5.87 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. Tyler Mahle's 1-1 on the season with a 4.09 ERA, 1.36 WHIP. On the money line, Minnesota plus 120. And these are odds from PointsBet. I'm just grabbing random odds. You could probably shop around depending on which side you like. Yankees minus 145 and the total's at 8.5. On the run line, Minnesota plus 1.5 minus 170. Yankees minus 1.5 plus 140. You're a Yankees fan, man. So let me hear sound off right now, and let me know what's going on with your Yankees.
Well, once again, we come into the season with Yankees expectations.
Always too high.
I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I hear from Cowboys. I hear from Cowboys fans every year, so it's very similar if you're a Yankees fan. It's World Series or nothing for us, and here we go again. We come out this gate hot, swinging the bats, and we just get ran out of the ballpark last night against a Twins team that we kind of dominated over the last decade. You talked about trends earlier. That was a trend, man, and I was on it and I was wrong. Yankees uh, got their behinds beat yesterday, and I really want to say the other word. And hey, coming tonight, everybody's on the Yankees. I said no, no, no. We got to stay off of them. Nestor Cortez actually, lost both of his starts against the Twins last year. And I said, nah, here we go again. It's not time yet. And look what happens. Clay Holmes comes in and just kind of lets him down there. Now, going for to tomorrow, though, I am 100% ready to back a pissed off Yankees team tomorrow. Getting DJ LeMahieu back 100% healthy is big. You got Rizzo, who knows Tyler Mahle from their times at previous organizations, and has had pretty good success against them. Um, uh, as far as Tyler Mahle's concerned, he's a guy I've wanted to be good for years. And it's just he's never crossed the hump, if you will. He's been there and he just hasn't been able to get there. But like you said, he's out the gate now with over 4 ERA, almost a 1.5 WHIP. Domingo struggled a little bit, but we're still talking about a guy that won almost 20 games in 2019. He's healthy. I think you got some positive regression coming from him. When you line these two teams up on a stat card, they're very similar offensively. I think they're only 3-run differential, team by team. Very similar offensively. Judge and Stanton came out swinging for the gates today, and I think this is just a simple handy.
Yeah, no, I agree in the sense that, like, I backed the Yankees today because I
the
like
Yankees smart to take care of the Twins and kind of.
Yeah, and Aaron, I agree with you, and I backed the Yankees today because I like backing teams getting blown out after, especially good teams, because usually it's a good bounce back spot. And then, the Twins against left-handed pitching last year, they were one of the worst teams in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, and this year they're 16th against left-handed pitching. Obviously, it's a small sample size. There's not a ton of at bats, but still, like, continuing from last year to this year, I felt like, okay, this is a good spot. Like, you got Nestor on the mound at home after getting blown out. Like, the Yankees are going to be pissed and they're going to come out and win this game. So, didn't work out in my favor because Clay Holmes fucking just blew it. One thing I will say, though, is we do have to start respecting the Twins. The Twins are a good ball team. They have a good bullpen. They have a good starting rotation. They don't have a great starting rotation, but they have a good starting rotation. And then they got decent bats. Byron Buxton for half of the year last year was an MVP candidate. You know what I mean? I think people often forget that. Losing Luis Ariz kind of hurts, but they do have a good offense, man. However, I'm with you on the Yankees here, bro. I like the Yankees tomorrow. I'm not very high on Domingo Germán, but I'm not high on Tyler Mahle at all. Like, I think the Yankees can get to him. Yankees are 5th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching right now, and Tyler Mahle, his xFIP is over 5, so his xFIP's even worse than his ERA. So his expected fielding independent pitching, he's not going out and giving you great starts. Last start against the Guardians, or I'm sorry, the Phillies, a 10 xFIP. You know what I mean? He got knocked around. And the Yankees are a much better offense against right-handed pitching than the Phillies are. And we're getting this during the day. I like the Yankees here tomorrow, man. I think this is best bet material. I honestly think -1.5 is a playable play as well. The Yankees they got to be pissed off.
They've got to be, man, and they don't want the Twins to clinch the series tomorrow on a Saturday at 1 o'clock in front of all of New York. They want to win tomorrow and go into Sunday with the opportunity to even the series. To your point too, Justin, somebody that might not be familiar with me, I just put out there, I play a lot of -1s, and I've got some messages on Twitter about, why do you play -1 a lot? Here's the thing. I don't like playing a ton of run lines with the home team because you don't get the extra at bat. But what I do like is I either lay, for instance, on Easter Sunday, I was on the Pirates. They win 1-0. They have the bases loaded. O'Neal goes down, gets hurt, and then they end up not scoring anything with bases juice with no outs. But
Right.
anyways, I pushed that bet, but I had the Pirates at plus 100, even money. If I would have laid the minus 145, I would have lost,
Right.
right? Say the Pirates lose that game 1-0. You essentially have to win 1.5 games to make up for that one loss. So with baseball, I have a very strict thing where I don't like playing anything. Minus 30 is my cap. So just to know why I play a lot of stuff at -1, that's why.
Uh, books. A lot of books don't offer -1 out here in Vegas, so it's like you either gotta take the money line or you, and that's again like I don't think people should be afraid of laying heavy juice on a game. Like you just have to be smart about it, and you know, for example, like playing the Dodgers tonight -170 with Noah Syndergaard on the mound, like that's just not a smart play in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, if I'm getting -170, -175, and I got you know, I'm trying to throw out a good pitching and a good pitcher and a good team. Because I was gonna say Sandy Alcantara, but I don't know if that's a good play this year. But like, if I get -170,
Not after the other night, maybe we got to lay off of that one for a minute.
yeah. But if I get -175 and I got like oh my god, Luis Castillo on the mound at home, Mariners, right, against the Rockies, like that's a good play to me. Like that's good odds. I would probably take that to -220. You know what I mean? Like because the implied odds are gonna tell me like the Mariners are gonna win that game way more than they're gonna lose that game. So you just have to and it has to be your like if I'm saying it, that doesn't mean that you think the same way. You know what I mean? So if the person making the bet thinks, okay, I really like this team, I really like this pitcher, like I can lay -200, I can lay -220 on it. Like, okay, do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't be scared because of the VIG. You know what I mean? I think people often get scared of that. Like, they're just like, well, I'm not playing anything over -150. But sometimes you might get caught up because you might be making a bad play because you're so scared of laying the VIG, you take the other side or you even shy away from it. For example, the Marlins today. The Marlins were -150 with Trevor Rogers on the mound. And Irvin was like, man, but Trevor Rogers is on the mound. Like, that's not good. I was like, yeah, but they're playing Bumgarner, bro. And the Marlins are 8th in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. Like, they're raking lefties right now. And Trevor Rogers, to be honest, his xFIP is less than his ERA, which means that he has a lot of bad luck. So there's positive regression coming. He's going to have better starts. And sure enough, the Marlins win that game. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you just gotta think of baseball's. I'm telling you right now, I will say this honestly: baseball is the hardest sport to bet, hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts. Baseball is the hardest sport.
100%.
If you can beat baseball, if you can have a positive winning season in baseball, you are a very, very good handicapper, in my opinion. Like it is the toughest sport to bet.
And yeah, and here's the other thing too, and we'll go on to the next game because I could talk about this, but you know, people, I post my records on Twitter. You know, I'm very transparent, wins, losses, whatever. But you know, there's a time where you could have about 500 year to date wins loss record and still be in the money if you've played it right. And so that's my not I agree with what you're saying because sometimes I will do that, but other times I'll play the -1 and I don't get mad at myself for the push because I don't have to make up, you know, that loss wins either. So it's just about how you play it. There's a million different ways to play it. But if you finish the end of the baseball season and you're up, you know, 8%, my God, man, you had a great season.
Speaking of your point, last year I was 46% and I was positive money because I hit a lot of dogs. I'm telling you, the Orioles carried me last year, dude. The Orioles absolutely carried me, which is why you'll always see me rooting for the Orioles now. But
yeah, I wrote a lot. I faded the Orioles a lot at the beginning of the season. I learned my lesson by the All-Star break, and I think they were the number one team against the run line all last season. So they were
the number one
run line. So.
They were the number one team return on investment last year in all of baseball. And that's the thing with baseball is like like you said, like you could go 50% and win. You know what I mean? But if you're playing like minus 170 favorites every day, you got to go like 62% to profit, 65%. So you got to keep all that in mind. And I also
Yeah,
think,
I was going to say it's probably about 65 to 67%.
yes, so it's things to keep in mind. And I also hear like a lot of math guys are always like, oh, well, like don't parlay too heavy favorites because one could lose and you could lose. But I'm against that notion because like if I like two teams, like I'm gonna parlay them regardless. You know what I mean? Like you won't see me parlay like 10 teams. Like I don't do that. But like two team money line parlays, like I play those very often and I'm pretty profitable on. I'm profitable on those. You know what I mean? So like if it's profitable for me, I'm gonna continue to do so. You know. Anyways, sorry, we went off on a tangent there, but baseball is the toughest sport to bet, so don't get mad at yourself if you have a losing day or even a losing week. Dude, I had a losing week last week. I took a lot of weather unders last week because there was a cold front coming in on the East Coast, so I took a lot of unders on the East Coast and they all fucking went over. And it's things we're learning about with these new rules, you know what I mean? Like the balls weren't flying out of the park. It's just there's a lot more runners on base now. And there's a lot more doubles. There's a lot more singles because of the shift rules. So those are things to keep in mind. And we're seeing totals already jump up, Aaron. Like, normally totals are like 7.5, 8, 8.5. Now they're like 9, 9.5, 10. You know, usually the only 10s we see are at Coors Field.
And totals are really getting shaded too. Like you could tell the books, like one way or the other. You get like minus 1 point to the over, minus 105 to the under. So they obviously protecting themselves against the over there. So I'm not a totals guy. I don't bet a whole lot of totals, but I'm trying to find places, to jump in that I see an edge in this year.
Yep. Because usually in baseball, I feel like there's a lot of value on totals. Because like a lot of places, a lot of parks, like weather is a factor. You know what I mean? So like, like the other day at Coors Field, the total was 13 against the Rockies and Cardinals. Flaherty versus Urena on the mound, and the wind is blowing out in Coors Field. Like perfect weather conditions for an over, and it goes under, dude. The Cardinals like could not hit Urena. They only scored like 4 runs off him. So it's like, just gotta tip your cap. I got it at 12 and it closed at 13. I got hella good closing line value. Shout out closing line value too. All right, let's move on to our next game. We got the Orioles against the White Sox. My Orioles against the White Sox. We got Kyle Gibson on the mound against Michael Kopech. Kyle Gibson this year 3-0 surprisingly, 3.44 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. Michael Kopech 0-2 on the year, 6.75 ERA, 1.5 WHIP. Currently on the money line, the Orioles are minus 115. White Sox minus 105. The total's at 9. On the run line, minus 1.5 for the Orioles, plus 140, plus 1.5 for the White Sox, minus 170. What's your thoughts here?
Yes. So actually, the Orioles on opening day, and I also backed the Orioles another time with Cal Gibson. So luckily on the right side on 2 of those victories. Once again, here we go with the Orioles, man. They just hit the ball. They get on base and they hit the ball. You got Rushman playing out of his mind. On the walk-off home run yesterday, he got cashing over 1.5 total bases for me. So that was pretty cool. Gunnar Henderson, Santander, Mountcastle. I mean, these guys are just nailing the ball.
Santander I honestly think, Aaron, Santander might not play tomorrow because he is massively cold and Brandon Hyde might sit him down just to like let him clear his mind.
But you still got guys hitting the ball there, man. They just score runs and they can keep the White Sox bullpen alive tonight for dinner. So I don't have too much of an opinion on this game, but if I was forced to bet the side hard, it would be hard to bet against a Orioles team. So if I had to take a side here, I would probably take the Orioles and maybe even look at the total for that game. That might be a game that goes over as well. The White Sox bullpen is just terrible. They can't be trusted at this very moment.
Yeah, the White Sox bullpen is the worst in baseball, 7.43 ERA. You saw tonight, I mean, they basically gave up all 6 runs. I know Clevenger walked a couple and then gave up a couple, but yeah, the White Sox bullpen is just so bad, dude. It's like I don't even know how you could play the White Sox in a full game right now. Like if you like them, just play the first 5. You know what I mean? Like I think that's where it has to be. As far as Kopech is concerned, like last start against the Pittsburgh Pirates, like he was pretty good. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned. He actually took the L because his team couldn't score. Only walked 3.
That was the game that I pushed on. That was the game I pushed on the Pirates. They beat them 1-0.
Yeah, and, that was a good start for him. You know what I mean? The thing with Michael Kopech though is like he does get in these situations where he walks a lot of guys. Like in his first start, he went 4 2/3, had 3 walks, gave up 5 home runs. So his home run to fly ball ratio is really high right now, 27.8%. But in that game against the Giants too, you do have to factor in the wind was blowing out. So like normal fly balls were just flying out of the park. Like there was no hope for anyone in that game. Michael Kopech is a former top recruit, right? He was a top prospect. His fastball velocity is down. He was once at like 99. Now he sits around like 94, 93. The Orioles last year were one of the worst fastball hitting teams. This year they're hitting the fastball a little bit better. So I do like the Orioles from that side. However, the Orioles bullpen has been like, I mean, this is their 9th game in a row tomorrow. So their bullpen has been kind of overly used. Felix Bautista pitched for his 2nd day in a row, or 3rd day in a row today. So I doubt he pitches tomorrow. He's their best reliever, and the Orioles bullpen outside of him has been very, 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 very shaky. They've also sent down guys, called guys up, so there's a lot of new faces in the bullpen. If I were to play this game, I honestly would probably lean the under, only for the fact the wind is blowing in, and we could see a little bit less runs scored. I do think that Michael Kopech is better than his ERA presents. But I can't play the White Sox because of their bullpen, dude. Like, I just can't do it. I don't have a ton of conviction on this game like I do with the Yankees. Like, I love the Yankees tomorrow. I do not have a ton of conviction on this game. Because the Orioles bullpen is taxed. The White Sox bullpen sucks. It don't even matter who they throw out there. Maybe we just play the over.
Terrible.
Maybe we
That's
just
what I
play.
was thinking.
9 is high. 9, I feel like, is a tax of like all the games going over right now, especially if the wind's blowing in Chicago, because the wind blows in Chicago. Like I said about Kopech's first start when the wind was blowing out. I mean, I don't know if you watched that game, but I mean, like, dudes were just hitting like fly balls, like routine fly balls that were like going out 10 feet over the wall. That would have normally been flyouts. So honestly, I don't even know if I would touch the total in this game. I feel like in this game, it's Orioles first 5 or nothing.
And so that brings up another good point about baseball. Sometimes in baseball, you just got to stay away.
Yeah.
If you just don't feel your read is right or your handicap is right, it's okay to move on and live another day. Man, there are more days in baseball. I promise you that.
Yep. There is definitely more days in baseball for sure. All right, let's move on to our next game. We got, because I really don't have any conviction on that game, and I love betting the Orioles, but not tomorrow. Not with how their bullpen's taxed. All right, we got the Marlins and D-backs. These are 2 teams I was pretty high on coming into this season. Marlins right now minus 125 on the money line. Diamondbacks plus 105. We got Nelson pitching for the Diamondbacks. He's 1-0 with a 4.91 ERA, 1.36 WHIP. Then we got Braxton Garrett, who's 0-0 with a 4.7 ERA, 2.09 WHIP. What's your thoughts on this game here? And the total's at 8.5, by the way.
Yeah, Jordan. So just like you, man, I was really high on Diamondbacks coming into the season. I had a Mac, well, excuse me, a couple massive tickets on the Diamondbacks over 75.5 wins. So that was uh, lo and behold, by far my biggest bet as far as futures coming into the season. So I'm really high on them. And their season kind of started out like better than planned. They played the number one strength of schedule in baseball so far, and they came out with some wins over the Dodgers, took a series from the Padres, and took a series from the Brewers, which is pretty impressive. I think Corbin Carroll is kind of like Adley Rushman. I believe he's an emerging star in the league. You know, Get Burrell was big. He kind of hit a home run when I was on them on I guess it was Wednesday to kind of get the win there for him. I think Marte's returning to his 2017 2018 form as well. And the D-backs kind of seem to do what the Miami Marlins struggle to do sometimes, and that's score runs. The Miami Marlins have a negative 26 run differential, which is huge.
Yeah, but one of those the major part of it is that one start with Sandy, dude. When he gave up like 11 runs.
Yep. God, I know it's heartbreaking. But and something else that Diamondbacks do really well is they hit the ball with runners in scoring position. They're batting over 300 with runners in scoring position, which is best for fifth in the MLB. They're also third in the league in steals. And the Diamondbacks took 5-6 against the Marlins in 2022, and I think tonight was kind of a humbling loss for them. You come off of playing the number one strength of schedule, and you think you compete with anybody, and go down to Miami and kind of get your butt handed to you tonight. So, like you said, they turned around Nelson tomorrow. He finished last year with a 1.47 ERA and only a .82 WHIP, over 3 starts and some relief appearances. I can kind of give him a pass for his 4.9, ERA to start the season, as they did come against the Dodgers and the Padres, who I think is two of the better teams in the league. Garrett struggled last year. I think he was 3-10 overall in wins and losses last year, and he hasn't gone longer than 4 innings this year. So I think we get a max effort tomorrow from the Diamondbacks. And, the Diamondbacks are a team that kind of to what we were talking about earlier, when you pick your spots with the dog, they profile an underdog perfectly. They're hungry, they're young, that can score runs. That team profiles the underdog perfectly. So I'd like the Diamondbacks to get the winner.
Man, this one's kind of tough because the Diamondbacks, they don't have a high K rate against lefties, only 19.2%, 122 WRC plus. The Marlins do struggle hitting right-handed pitching this year so far. 22nd in WRC plus at 88%, 301 OBP, 390 slugging, which is not good. And then I also I don't know the status of Luis Ariz. He didn't play today, which is I don't know if it was just a rest day or if he's gonna play tomorrow. He's not on the injury report, so I don't know what's up with that. So that's something to keep your eye on. Also, the Marlins bullpen is, not good. It's 5.26 ERA, 4.81 xFIP. The one thing I will say about Braxton Garrett though is while he was 3-7 last year, he did have a 3.58 ERA and he had a 3.5 xFIP. So expected fielding of independent a lot better than his ERA. So he is a high ground ball pitcher. He doesn't get a lot of fly balls, so he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Only 11% fly ball to home run rate. And then Ryan Nelson, on the other hand, he's a ground ball pitcher too. 40% of his pitches are ground balls. Only 4.91 K per 9 though. And with the shift rules, Aaron, I'm not really high on ground ball pitchers without the shift because you got to strike guys out. Because we're seeing a lot of ground ball pitchers from last year struggle this year because, hits that were hit right into the shift last year now are not. They're base hits. You know what I mean? That's a big difference from last year. So I do worry about Ryan Nelson in that aspect. I like Braxton Garrett, man. It's hard for me to hard for me to bet against him, but I do think that there's value on the D-backs money line because of what you said. Coming off a couple straight losses, I do think the D-backs lineup is much better than the Marlins. I think they're a better team. I think the Marlins obviously have a ton of potential, and their starting rotation is like the best of their team, right? But their lineup not very good, and their bullpen is atrocious, dude. Their bullpen is awful. So I do lean Diamondbacks here. I don't know if I'm gonna play it, but if I were to make a play in this game, it's probably D-backs full game. Probably lean Marlins first 5 though, just because once Braxton Garrett gets out, and like you said, he doesn't go deep in games, so he's like 5 innings or less. So lean Marlins first 5, D-backs full game plus 105.
And to that point, Jordan, one of the reasons I was on the Diamondbacks coming into the season so big was, if you remember last year, man, they started out the gate strong as well, but just kind of their bullpen was atrocious down the stretch. Pretty sure their bullpen was the worst in the league after the All-Star break, and they went out and got a couple guys that are filling in there, and so their bullpen is actually playing very well right now. So what they wanted to accomplish, they did. So hey, I'm happy with my Diamondbacks over, and I know you've got some futures on them too. So let's keep cashing let's cash those and keep getting some wins for us.
Yes, I agree. Let's keep cashing them, and you know, hopefully we continue to do the damn thing with them, man. All right, so you're on D-backs. You like D-backs.
Colorado. Oh yes, yeah, Diamondbacks, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But I'm definitely playing the Diamondbacks, bro.
All right, like it. All right, let's move on to our last game. We got the Brewers against the Padres, the fathers of San Diego. Where is it? All right, here we go. This covers always has they have the old San Diego Padres logo up there. I don't know why it throws me off every time. The Brewers right now plus 110 on the money line. Padres minus 130. We're gonna see Freddie Peralta pitch for the Brewers. He's gonna be on the mound 2-0 with a .75 ERA and a 1 WHIP. He's gonna be going against Seth Lugo, who's 2-0 on the season with a 1.38 ERA and a 1 WHIP. What do you think about this game here? I know you've been pretty high on the Brewers early on this season. I know you like Freddie Peralta. The total on this game too is 8. What do you think about this game here?
Jordan, when we were kind of talking about this game earlier today, seeing the Brewers do what he did to the Padres tonight wasn't really on my agenda of things. So I was really hoping the Padres would beat them and kind of be able to come back tomorrow and back Peralta. But, kind of like we talked about earlier, man, you got a team that kind of gets throttled a little bit last night. It would be hard for me that against the Padres. I'm very after years, but I think this is one of those games we talked about earlier. I would try to stay away from it because I feel like what I would see the game as is might not be how it plays out. So anything like that to just kind of stay away from. But you got 2 good pitchers there, and I think 2 good teams that have a baseball to play for. So.
Yeah, Seth Lugo. I mean, he's been pitching really well. Better than he's ever pitched in his entire career. Although, he does have a 1.38 ERA, 3.48 xFIP, so we should see a little bit of regression at some point. And like Freddie Peralta, I mean, big bounce back season. He wasn't very good last year. He got hurt in the middle of the year, came back. He was a lot better at the end of the year. But he's been back to his normal, Cy Young type self. I know he didn't win the Cy Young, but he was a top 5 finisher in 2021. He's kind of back to that again, 0.75 ERA, but again, 3.92 xFIP. So he's had a lot of luck. 44% ground ball rate, 91.7% left on base percentage, 10.5 K per 9, 0 home runs, which is a huge reason why his xFIP is a little high because normally you see fly balls and tend to be around at least 5 to 10% to be home runs. But yeah, I'm with you, dude. Like I would have liked the Padres to win tonight so you could back the Brewers, but I think it's tough to see the Padres losing 3 straight or 4 straight, which is what it would be tomorrow. But again, man, the Padres bullpen is so bad, Aaron. It's like Seth Lugo could give you 6 solid innings, and it's just like outside of Hader, it's like you just don't know what you're gonna get out of that bullpen. 3.78 ERA right now, and last night, speaking to it, once it was tied up in the 8th inning, 3-3, I live bet the Brewers because I was like, man, Padres bullpen stinks, dude. And I know Hader's going to get the 9th inning. They'll probably go into extras tied. But after that, it's like the Padres don't have anybody to throw. Like, who are they going to throw out there? You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of a similar thing. Now, the beneficial point to losing tonight is like Hader's going to be fresh tomorrow. But again, like Devin Williams probably isn't pitching tonight because the game's a blowout. So it's like he's well rested. Devin Williams is probably the best reliever in all of baseball, if we're being completely honest.
You took the words out of my mouth. I think he's the best reliever in baseball. I felt that for 2 to 3 years. So I actually, if anybody ever followed me on Twitter, I actually wrote a lot about Devin last year on Twitter. So, yeah, best reliever in the game, hands down, and I don't even think it's anymore.
And like the one thing that like I was down on the Brewers last year and coming into this year was like the fact they couldn't score runs. They just could not score last year. And I was like, how are they going to score this year? But they're doing it this year. They have the 3rd highest run differential in all of baseball. Like they're putting up runs every single game. Like they're finding ways to score. Willie Adames is on a fucking like 11-game hit streak. What's his name? The big Mexican dude on their team. Oh my God, why is his name slipping my head? The dude that hit a 2-run shot last night. Aaron, help me out. What's his name? Oh my God.
Are you speaking about Rowdy?
Yeah, Rowdy Tellez. He's hitting the ball really well. I
Yep.
mean, this is a team that up and down the lineup, they're starting to hit. And that's a scary team. It's similar to the Rays last year.
I think getting rid of Colton Wong was big for them. He's kind of struggling this year again. So I think that team is tough, man. And I've liked the Brewers for many years, and I haven't been able to figure them out exactly, but I've backed them twice already this year and won both those games. So I think it's a perfect team. I think it's a perfect spot to keep backing them. But tomorrow, I don't know if I could back them. I think it would have to be the Padres or nothing for me tomorrow.
I agree 100%. Just because of the situation, it's a situational play. You know what I mean? So I agree with
Hey,
you.
Jordan, Colorado Rockies are, I've got that over 9, and it's top of the 6th now. 7 runs, bases juice, 1 out. So hopefully we can cash this over right here.
No, hopefully they don't hit a grand slam. What's who's on the mound for the Mariners?
Good old Brash.
Oh, Brash. I mean, he could either be lights out or he's giving up 6 runs.
You never know what you're gonna get.
You don't ever know. All right.
It's like when you open up like a bag of candy, like one of the mystery bags, and you're like, man, it's gonna be a good one or a bad one.
The good thing is the Mets are still scoring 13-4 in that game.
Yeah, let's keep that pedal down.
Let's go, y'all!
All right, let's get some best bets for tomorrow, Aaron.
Yeah.
What do you like for tomorrow? Give me your best bet for tomorrow of the games we talked about.
My best bet tomorrow at this very moment, and I'm playing it, and I'm hoping that the Marlins take a whole bunch of money tonight so I can wake up and play it tomorrow morning, is I'm taking the Diamondbacks on the money line tomorrow.
All right, D-backs, money line plus 105. I'm going to take the Yankees minus 145.
I love that too. I think you're all over it right there, Jordan.
I'm going to lay the juice, but I think it's a big bounce back spot. And hopefully they don't play me like they played me tonight, man. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. All right, man. Anything else you want to add?
That's it, guys. Let's have a good day tomorrow. I got baseball all day tomorrow. It's always exciting. So
And we got NBA playoffs.
I would really love for Tovar to get walked here. That was a dream scenario.
Oh my God, no! We don't need it. We don't need the Rockies to score any more runs. We just need the Mariners to put up more runs, bro.
The Rockies, the Rockies owe me. I will say this before we leave, Jordan. And thanks again for having me on tonight, Jordan. It's always a blast. And man, this is good stuff. So the Rockies owe me a little bit because I was on the Rockies plus 1.5 the other night playing the Cardinals, and they're up 6-2, and 2 outs, 2 strikes. We get a little ground ball to McMahon, and he gets an error. Next thing you know, the Cardinals come back and beat them 9-6. So you know what? The Rockies owe me a little bit.
I like it. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to go to devour.com or download the Devour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code TAPROOM for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. That's craft beer delivered straight to your front door. You don't even have to leave your seat. Aaron and I will be back next Friday. We're going to be doing this every Friday, breaking down games for Saturday. We're going to try to choose like the best 4 games. But if you guys want us to break down a game, let us know on Twitter. And we'll do our best to fit it in there or have that be one of our games. Just let us know, man. That's all you need to do. Make sure to follow Aaron on his Twitter. Damn, Aaron, I forgot your Twitter handle. Like, what's your Twitter handle?
AK Sports 90.
AK Sports 90. You can follow myself on Twitter at Jordan Rules TSP. Go to Taproom Sports Podcast on Instagram, taproomsportspodcast.com. You can find all this shit there. I'll be back Sunday night with Big Ball and Ben Larson and Swerve Irving. We'll be breaking down MLB this week, NBA playoffs, getting ready for NHL playoffs on Monday as well. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Let's get to the window tomorrow. Let's get this money. Y'all have a very blessed weekend. We love y'all. Peace.